Fentanyl is not frightening because it is a hard drug. It is frightening because the line between enough and too much is almost invisible. With fentanyl, that line is measured in milligrams. 2 milligrams are often enough to be lethal, depending on the body, the situation, and tolerance. 2 milligrams. That is a few grains of salt. This is why fentanyl is so dangerous. This is how opioid overdoses shut down breathing. And this is how fentanyl overdoses happen before the body can react. And the truly modern part is this. You can come into contact with exactly that amount without knowing you did. The name fentanyl is everywhere, in headlines, in warnings, in the quiet sense that something has fundamentally gone off track. You hear that it is extremely strong. But most people do not understand what strong actually means in biological systems. Because potency is not just about how intense something feels. Potency is about how small a mistake can be before your body can no longer correct it. Your brain has opioid receptors for a reason. They are not drug receptors. They are survival receptors. They exist because pain is information, and information must be regulated. If pain were always at full volume, you could not act, you could not heal, you could not survive. So over evolution, an internal pharmacy developed. Endorphins, your body's own opioids. They bind to these receptors like a key in a lock and turn the volume down for a moment. After hard effort, after injury, during stress, temporary relief. Then the system returns to baseline. Fentanyl is what happens when that lock is no longer opened, but blown apart with a grenade. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid, developed for extreme pain, used in medicine during surgery and severe illness. In controlled medical settings, it can save lives. Outside of control, it becomes an unpredictable chemical intervention inside the human body. The core mechanism is simple. Fentanyl binds extremely strongly to opioid receptors, especially the mu-opioid receptor. It does not gently influence the system, it occupies it. And because it is so potent, a tiny amount can produce a massive effect. Fentanyl is roughly 50 to 100 times more potent than morphine. That number explains why the margin for error practically disappears. Imagine sweetening a cup of coffee. With sugar, you can adjust. 1 spoon, then another, then stop. With a substance that is 100 times sweeter, 2 or 3 sugar grains can make the entire cup undrinkable. With fentanyl, those same few grains are enough to shut down breathing. Because the most dangerous effect of opioids is not the high. It is the suppression of the brainstem. The brainstem is the part of your brain that keeps you alive while you are thinking about something else. Breathing rhythm, carbon dioxide detection, the automatic urge to inhale. Opioids reduce that drive. In therapeutic doses, this can be monitored. In real-world drug use, where dosing is never precisely controlled, this becomes a silent shutdown. And this is where fentanyl differs from many other substances. With alcohol, with many sedatives, the body sends warning signals. Nausea, dizziness, discomfort, a sense that something is wrong. Fentanyl can act faster than those warnings. Even a slight overdose can slow breathing before the mind understands what is happening. And opioids have a particularly cruel feature. They dampen fear. They lower the internal alarm system. When breathing is already becoming dangerously shallow, the experience may not feel panicked. It can feel calm. Chemistry is disabling the very signal that would normally save you. The greatest risk does not always lie in deliberate use. It lies in miscalculation, substitution, contamination, counterfeiting. Illicit fentanyl is often pressed into pills that look like familiar medications or mixed into other substances. And unlike a pharmacy, The black market has no quality control. One tablet is not the same as the next. One powder is not evenly dosed. 2 pills from the same batch can be radically different. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration warns that a large portion of counterfeit pills they test contain a potentially lethal dose of fentanyl. So the danger is not only the substance itself, it is variability, the chaos of dosing. Your nervous system is a prediction machine. It constantly estimates what will happen next and prepares your body accordingly. Heart rate, breathing, blood pressure. When a substance is expected, the body can adapt. When it is unexpected, the system is ambushed. That is why fentanyl hidden inside familiar-looking pills is so deadly. No gradual buildup, no adjustment, just sudden receptor takeover. Many people assume tolerance offers protection, that if someone uses opioids regularly, they are safer. But tolerance is not a single dial. Different effects adapt at different speeds. Euphoria often fades faster than respiratory suppression, which means someone can feel normal while being dangerously close to respiratory failure. This is not a character flaw. It is biology. Then there is rescue. Naloxone, often known as Narcan, saves lives. It binds to opioid receptors and displaces the opioid, like violently ripping the key out of the lock. But naloxone is not a shield. It is a reversal. In dependent individuals, it can trigger sudden, severe withdrawal. And naloxone often acts for a shorter time than the opioid it reverses. Its effects typically last between 45 and 180 minutes, with a half-life of about 1 hour. With strong opioids, respiratory depression can return after naloxone wears off. That is why repeated dosing and medical monitoring are necessary. Fentanyl also accelerates addiction, not because people are weak, but because learning is fast when relief is immediate. Opioids do not just produce pleasure, they produce relief. From physical pain, from stress, from emotional overload. In the short term, the world feels manageable. Over time, the reference point shifts. Normal life begins to feel empty. Not because it is empty, but because the nervous system has recalibrated. Zooming out, one thing becomes clear. Fentanyl is concentrated danger, enormous biological power compressed into a tiny physical space. And that power collides with a very old organism. You. The human body evolved for slow signals. Endorphins that rise and fall, pain with meaning, relief with limits. Fentanyl is not a natural signal. It is a modern override, and it reveals something uncomfortable about us. Behavior is rarely just a matter of willpower. It is a matter of limits. How much stress you can carry, how much pain you can tolerate, how stable your world feels before your nervous system reaches for chemical silence. Fentanyl is what happens when a relief mechanism becomes too strong, too fast, and too unpredictable for the safety systems of a human body. Not because humans are reckless, because humans are limited.